Sir Zex, are you okay? I'm fine. I just got a little blast to the face, but I'll survive. As this is what the Devil King in training has said. As the Holy War is happening, and he was hit with a powerful attack to his face. But he said he's alright. The difference is that he kind of took some pretty serious damage, so he was told to stay out of the battle for a bit. But Zerzek says that he's strong enough to not need to rest for long periods. But as the Holy War was concluding and the dragons were all, the dragons were all set basically. Like Dragon Albion were all sealed into a sacred gear or created. Their sacred gears were created. A powerful entity with two powerful entities, or three of them actually, would be currently in a battle, like a deadlock basically. As fallen angels and devils, they all come together to see what's going on. Little do they know, the battle of religion has begun. A man in a green tunic would be fighting a really tall, buff, brown skinned man with red hair and a red beard. The man with the red hair and brown skin, his name is Ganondorf. He wields the Triforce of power. And the boy in the tunic, his name is Link. He wields the Triforce of courage. And the girl who is shooting light arrows from the side, her name is Princess Zelda, and she holds the Triforce of wisdom. Yes. And not only that, but Link and Ganondorf, they're both in a deadlock. Like they are literally pushing each other back and forth with their swords. Link is beginning to win. He then begins to slice Ganondorf with his sword. He kicks Ganondorf down to the ground. He powers up the Master Sword to its fullest potential with the Master Sword now glowing. And he then stabs Ganondorf right into the center of his chest. And that then kills the evil king completely. But before the evil king can truly die, he begins to stand up, feeling the wind one last time as his eyes lose their pupils. He has died, with both Zelda and Link celebrating this. But they both say they don't know how long he'll stay gone. The Triforce, with all three of their Triforce pieces now coming out, are now all like coming out of their bodies and coming together again. Zelda tells Link to touch the Triforce. He deserved the wish that can grant almost anything you could ever want in your life. But as this is happening, three great nations then currently stop him so they can get the wish instead. Little do they know that you need a perfectly balanced heart to do this, which a war for the Triforce then starts. Link, knowing that he has to stop this, and Zelda knows this as well, He then takes out something that none of them would expect, which causes them all to stop and ask him, it's a mask. What is he gonna do with a mask? He then puts it on. He howls in pain. He then transferred into a dark god known as the fierce deity or deity. He then begins to take out the forces, all of their forces, alone, single-handedly, while Zelda is simply helping him out with her magic and sealing multiple enemies at once into a void that no one but her and maybe Link can enter. Only rooters of the Triforce can enter. Well, currently, they don't have the Triforce at the moment. Eventually, after Link fighting for days, he slowly begins to lose as most of the army is gone, and Link begins to get pretty tired, coughing up blood, not knowing how long he could last in the fierce deity's transformation. He then says nothing, and says anything at all. He just grunts because he doesn't know what to do. Then, out of nowhere, he gets stabbed in the back. This was by Azazel with a light spear. He just simply regenerates it, but as this same thing is happening, the mask of the fierce deity was then taken off, and Link was back to his regular state, which, mind you, he could probably take out most of that army on his own, but fighting the three great powers by himself would be difficult without that mask on. Link would then take out another weapon instead of the Master Sword, a two-handed long blade known as a two-handed blade known as the Buguan Sword. He then uses Din's fire to push them all back off of him. He then tells Zelda to get out of here. He then tells her to get the Triforce and get out of here. She says, but what about you, Link? He just looks at her, not saying a single thing again, I'm just looking at her. He only talks when it's necessary, because he doesn't want anybody else to bear his burdens. At least that's how he feels, which makes him an incredibly strong person, which she respects him for. She then eventually gets out of there safely, back into Hyrule Castle, which he then makes a wish, which the wish is that she wishes that Link will continue to reincarnate over time. No, reincarnate when he's mostly needed, when he's definitely needed in the world. Don't need another person like him again. With that, Triforce would then split back into Link and Zelda, but the Triforce of Power would disappear, along with, as soon as the fierce deities mask along with would also then disappear into somewhere they would never look. Then Link then takes out the 5 great Satans, the original ones, bleeding into his death eventually after the battle. This is when, after weeks, Zelda then comes to where Link has died. She then takes the Master Sword along with the Sheikah Slate, the tool that holds all of Link's gear. She then splits the Sheikah Slate up. Well, not splits the Sheikah Slate up. She has the Sheikah Slate have all of his items bestowed all over the planet into the 120 shrines. But not just that, along within all the temples that he'll have to go to. This Link will not, this new Link that will be reincarnated would not have all his items at the start of his journey, because he would just be too broken. That's the real reason, guys. But she decides there's only one place she can take these two things. She takes the Sheikah Slate to the Shrine of Resurrection, knowing that she'll one day reincarnate with Link, because she will always reincarnate into a new life because she's the goddess Hylia. But she then goes to Korok or Kokiri Forest and then bestows the Master Sword back into its pedestal where it will rest until the hero is ready to pick it up once again. Over 10,000 years, I'm lying, over about 500 years has passed since then. The Earth itself has developed into a brand new place. Everything is much different. While most of those landmines are now abandoned, being all the temples along with the Korok/Kokiri Forest is no longer just, still there, but it's within the ruins, you can say. Can't really find it unless you really know where it's at. But you'll be able to find it one day. 17 years before the start of the show, or manga, a hero is born. His name is Issei Hyodo. He has light brunette hair. Maybe even it's almost the color blonde. But instead of having his parents' eyes being brown, it's brown and yellowish eyes, he has beautiful blue eyes. Making him look slightly different than his parents. But the doctors then check and see that his biological parents are indeed the parents in front of him. Issei, growing up, he was different than most children. He was much more quieter. He never told his parents when he was in trouble, or if something was happening to him. Because like I said before, he felt like he should never tell anybody or have them bear his burdens. So he'd rather stay quiet with them. He still talked, but he wasn't the most talkative person. And he always enjoyed the earlier years of Japan, when they used swords and stuff like that, which you can still learn how to use a sword. It's still taught along with several martial arts, and it just isn't as common as it was back then. But as passionate as he seems, his mother and father decides to take him to a sword school. I'm sorry, sword school. I'm sorry. So then, Issei, he was a natural, picking up any skill taught him faster than anybody in his class, with him graduating at the age of only 11 years old, being a master swordsman. But little did he know the journey he was going to have ahead of him. Then, one day when Issei was 14 years old, he was out in the forest, just chilling basically. Something ancient awoken from this. It was known as a guardian. Link naturally having his sword on his back. But then, how he would have to deal with this, he would then say, okay, gotta be careful. The guardian would then shoot out in laser beam, which he would quickly dodge. But she would then pick up a pot blade, saying, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna die. He would then parry the guardian laser back, but only a pot blade. And then it would hit him in his face. It would hit the guardian in its eye. But growing up, Issei always had a friend that was really interesting. Her name is Irina Shiro. She was more into the art of magic, but as they say, magic didn't exist. So sure, she was into it. And just overall, the history of just the world itself. And she was a very wise person to be that young. Issei never truly understood her, but they were best friends, so sometimes you don't really understand your best friend. And when she moved, Issei felt pretty sad. But she told him that one day they would meet again. Irina being one of the only people besides his parents that Issei would actually genuinely talk to. Issei, after he then killed a guardian, he wouldn't tell anybody. He would then run home. He would then have an interesting dream where he then saw Link and Zelda fighting Ganondorf. Not the fight that happened 500 years ago, but even further before then. Issei then decides to go to the library the next day, and he then reads a book. He then goes to the history section. He finds a book called Hyrule Historia, where he begins to learn of a land that was near Japan long ago. It was called Hyrule, and there was a man named Link in the story, and a princess named Zelda, and an evil king named Ganondorf. But most people think this is just a folklore fairy tale, and Link defeats the evil king in the end of the story. But there's a certain part on the back where only people, wielders of the Triforce, can read this part. It doesn't says it doesn't actually say it, but it kind of does. Like Link can, well, not Link. Well, Issei, he can kind of read it. He can read it. It's glowing. He thinks it's weird. He even asks somebody else, did he see that? And the other guy just thought he was delusional. He just didn't want to say anything, obviously. He was just trying to be a nice guy. Issei would then put his hand up to the book. His hand would then glow. In the center of his hand, there would be a triangle glowing. In the right corner, Issei would then know he is the wielder of the Triforce of Courage. Not because he just read that he was reading it in the book. And then he thinks things are starting to add up. He says, he then sees a part in the book where it says, in order to find something of yours, you must head to Hyrule, to the Shrine of Resurrection, to find the Sheikah Slate. And guys, that would be the end of part 1 to What If Issei was slain. So like, comment, subscribe, and I hope y'all all will have a good day. And I hope y'all had a good and happy new year and everything, even though I'm late. And, see you later, guys.